Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. So today we are here again with the guys. So if you watch me stare into some place or say something, it's because they are here too. I'm not alone. Well, tomorrow we finish incredibly our month of Taurus. So so today we have the connection with our ankles, the feet chakra, related to the skeleton, to the bone system. So I would like to begin today saying something that sometimes I guess that yesterday some people might have been mistaken or understanding something wrong what I said, or maybe some people has been having this problem throughout the entire 300 days that has passed already, which is the moments when I say examples. When I say an example, or when I say imagine, or like if it is, when I say these kind of things, I am saying examples. So this means that is a pedagogical way in which we can understand something or relate to something to get it. Okay? Not all the things that I explain are literal like this. They are just examples for us to relate to that concept. So yesterday I said, imagine that like if we are the cells of the muscle part of the planet, and some people ask, but you have said before that we were the neurons of the planet. That's what we call an example, that we call an analogy. Okay, it's not a precise data, is basically an idea. Okay, so you can relate to. Yeah, so just in case. Tomorrow is the day 300. So we have been 300 days doing this, every alignment and doing every explanation. It's incredible that we have arrived until this number. So tomorrow, of course, is Taurus Day, so we will be connected in the pyramid. We will go here with my friends into the pyramid, so we will be connected there. So for you to set the intention during this whole day tomorrow that we will change the number to the 300. It's been amazing. So thank you all of you that has been all this from the very beginning. So the topic for today is the skeleton. Skeleton comes from the word skel. In the European language, skele, meaning wither, dry. Wither, dry. Skeleton are called like this, withered and dry, because of course that when you die, the last part that you have of the body that reminds you what you were or what that person has been is the skeleton, is the remnants of what we were once. This is why also for many cultures it reminds the past, the story, and reminds us about death, that we are not eternal, that we can die, and that's all the things that we will have left. Because of this, a long time we have created the idea of death, of fear death, and many other cultures took the concept of bones as something that was a way to open to the memory of the ancestrals, of the spirits. So this is why we also commonly are afraid of the bones, of the skeletons, because they also can connect you with the memories of the things of the things in other levels. Having humans around. The thing that I was saying with this is that I will try to talk about the skeletons from the point of view of life. How can we start to see from this point of view of not only death, but also about the perception of life. Of course, that when we think about the skeletons, we commonly used to think about death, about something that reminds us the end of things, because we see a dead body, so we think about death. Otra vez. Oh, so when we relate this to death, we usually don't think about the importance of life in the skeleton, the importance that it has in our common daily life. Okay, which would be that the skeleton basically produce most of the part of our blood that allows us to move, to have a flow in our lives. Without the skeleton, we wouldn't be alive, basically. So it's important to see that part too of the system. So before everything, let's try to remember, why do we have a skeleton? Remember that, as we spoke yesterday, at the beginning of life, all cells, all biological beings that were the first ones on existing, they lived in the oceans. They lived in the seas. So the environment where they were moving through was liquid, was water. So that's why they didn't have much effort to do in order to move from one spot to the other, because the same environment were pushing it to different places. Suddenly, when the nutrients and the food and the light were not in huge amounts, they started to need to move, to go farther, to look for these nutrients in the space. So they had to move. And as I said yesterday, they start to develop from the cells these constructions that help them move, that we related with the muscles. But also they created a structure. They created a structure that was made of, how it was? Cartilage? Cartilage, okay. So they started to build the structure of cartilage so they could, a strong structure to hold the organs, to move in the space, to have the strength in order to move around. So the cartilage was something that helped the living beings to have a structure of movement, also by protection. They started to create, it started to appear animals with this structure so they could be protecting the main organs inside. So from these living beings of cartilage, they started to divide in two groups. One, the invertebrate, and the other ones, the vertebrate beings. So we can try to understand this like that, so it could be easier to get. So we can have basically this idea, which is from cartilage, they divide in invertebrate, which is holding the entire structure within, and the vertebrae that they had a pattern to follow in the structure. So all the beings in the ocean start to divide in these two groups. So we can have from one side all the octopus, mussels, and in the other side we have the fishes. These two are in the ocean, but through thousands of years we have changed in the weather. So that kills a lot of beings in the oceans, which means less food. So they have to get out of the oceans to find for new resources. So what they start to do is to become amphibious. So from the oceans they start to go to the outside, but they live in both. But what happened? The gravity in the oceans, as everyone knows, works differently because the pressure of the water helps you to floatate. So this is why the gravity is holding you in the oceans, and you don't have to make much strength in order to move around. But when you get out of the ocean, the gravity is felt, the pressure is much more harder. So that's why you need a stronger structure inside, so you can move, so you can have strength. So this is why the animals start to take the minerals from the earth as they were eating, and all these minerals got stuck in the cartilage, and they became part of what we call bones. So they evolved into bones. So we got the hard structure that we could move, that we could walk on the surface. That's how it appears. Maybe you can ask, but there are vertebrate animals in the oceans with bones, like, for example, the whales, the dolphins, the turtles. So we have these animals in the oceans that have bones. Well, yes, from our point of view, they live now in the oceans, but before they lived on Earth. They lived on the surface. Most of the animals that we now know as animals that has vertebrae, that have bones and lived in the oceans, millions of years ago, they were living on the surface. Like, for example, the whales. Now we see the whales swimming in the oceans, but once they were like hippos, for example, or like an elephant, something like this. So they were walking around the surface, okay, and then they became like kind of well-dressed, okay. These kind of animals that live also in the water, and eventually they became the ones that we know today. So the reason why they did that is because at the first time they went out of the oceans to look for food, and eventually some moment we ran out of food on the surface, so they started to look for it in the oceans again. So of course, humans, we also did the same path. So we once lived in the oceans, and then we became mammals living on the surface with bones. Okay, so as humans, we can, for example, have this example. To have an image of this. This is a bone, and usually we think about the bone as something that is dead, that we have inside, and it's dry, and then when we die, it just is the thing that stays. But really, the bones are really alive all the time inside our bodies. We just see the dead bones, but they have much life. So the bones basically are in a structure. The bones are made of calcium and many minerals that get attached to make a strong system that gives strength to the body. But actually inside the bones, what we have is that everything is like a sponge. So the structure inside is full with tiny veins and arteries that move the blood inside of the bone all the time, constantly. They are sponges that receive blood and give blood. And inside of it is hollow. Inside of the bones, they are hollow because inside we have the marrow. Okay, the marrow inside, which is the liquid that creates the cells that goes to the blood. So red cells, white cells, mother cells, they are basically created inside the bones. So all the circulatory system is filled up with all the things that are created inside the bones. What is important to realize, to know about the bones here, is that they are not just the dry part of our body that just hold the structure, and then when we die we see them like they are inside. No, what we see outside as a dead bone is basically just the shell of minerals of the bone, but actually they're alive. They're all the time alive within us. So from this understanding of bones, we can get something important that helps us see how the structure that holds our bodies is the one that gives the flow inside of our bodies. This is the philosophical point of view of this system. So the important thing, the philosophical point of view of this system is that structure is the key for flowing. And of course, some of you, maybe if you are Pisces or Cancer, would say no. But let's go into this. If you think about this in this way, you can get that through thousands of years, humans, we have been evolving into managing the reality around through the strength that we develop in our body, the structure that we have. So we discover how to find the axis, how to stay still in our own center by moving with this power, with the structures of the bones. But even besides that, what we have is that the bones are creating the basis of the blood. The bones are the ones creating, also through the joints, the movement of the body. So it's the same structure that gives the power for the heart to beat, for the bodies to move, to do everything that we do. So this is why throughout our life, we need these kind of structures in order to hold the pattern, the idea, for us to not to get lost in what we are going to do, like a step-by-step of what and how are we going to do it, okay? So we can move freely once we have the structure, the pattern. So for example, in our year of the I Am, we have a lot of structures, the bones of the project. The bone project are that we have 12 months of 30 days each, divided in 3 weeks of 10 days. Each day is a chakra. The 10th day of every week, we connect the torus. So all of us, we can understand and we can know the entire structure. But what we don't know is what are we going to speak about every day. Not even me. I have no precise idea of what I'm going to explain, what we are going to go through that day, the explanation, the topic, anything. So we are moving freely because we have a structure. So you know what is coming next, so you can prepare for the structure. But inside, we flow. So if we wouldn't have this system around this structure, we wouldn't be able to understand why are we doing this, or how are we going to create this entire pattern. So the entire path is possible because of the structure. And of course that because of this structure is why we can flow with the topics, we can flow with the meditations, with whatever is going to happen in between. The structures gives us security so we can flow better, much more harmoniously. When we understand that the structures are something that helps us, we can understand that they work like the joints. They work like the movement of the body, okay? So every bone is like a structure itself. So some people think that their whole life is a structure, so they can flow through life, okay? Because they know the planning, so you can go through. But there are some people that are scared of what is coming in front. So they start to feel worried about if they are going to be able to face the new things, if they are going to be able to handle the conflicts in the future. So they just get attached to the previous structures that they already know. So they say, I prefer to stay with what I know and not to do something new, because even if I have a structure, I don't know what it's coming. I don't know how it's going to flow, that structure. So those people get stuck in only one bone. It's like this bone is the structure for the entire life, which brings us the conflict that we cannot move forward. So now imagine that this arm is like two structures connected by a joint. Okay, so imagine that this part of the body, this structure here, is like the month of May in which we are, and the hand is June. So tomorrow we change from May to June, and we have the joint here to make the change. But if some of you get stuck in this part of the arm, and they said, I don't want to leave the Taurus way of seeing things, I'm not open because I'm afraid what is going to happen in June. So you're not going to have the flexibility in your joint to use your hand, and you will try to make this structure to keep going. So that will make that your joint is so structured that you won't be able anymore to move your hand. So you are not going to be able to do anything with your hands. Of course, that in our life, if we live our life as a whole structure, we will break, because life tends to be a movement, a constant movement. So if someone is living their entire life through only one structure, it's like breaking bones. So that's a crisis. So if you pay attention to the bones that you break in your life, those are the structures that are breaking in your own pattern. So you would know exactly what is your life telling you to break, to solve from your life. So you have to think about every structure, every bone in your life, like one period of stability, and then you have a joint that helps you to have flexibility for the next one, and so on. Like an arm, you have one bone, then flexibility, the other bones, flexibility, other bones, so constantly. But if you have only one arm like this, it will be easy to break if it's only one structure. Okay, so summarizing this topic, this concept, we have to think about the history of the bone system as a way in which we accomplished to have a structure to keep us strong enough so we can do our life, but also to allow us to flow in order to create, to manifest, to do everything in our lives. So remember that we have to pay attention to our bone system in order to learn how to flow having a structure and not to attach with a structure so we can break. So remember that structures are useful to flow. The problem of structures is to attach yourself very firmly to them. As an advice for you to practice this structure, something simple. For those people that are flowing all the time and doesn't have much structure, I would recommend to find maybe in your day or your week or your month or your year some specific moments in which you will have something to repeat, something to do, like I have to do this every week, I have to do this every day, or something like this. So you can practice that at least 1 hour of your week to practice that. And if you are very structured person, just try to find one moment in the week or the day in which you don't have anything to do, but just when you arrive in that moment, try to do anything that you wouldn't expect to do. Try to do whatever is not in your idea of the day. So don't plan anything for that moment. So just tiny things that you can then apply in attitudes, in thoughts, thinkings, and so on. So let's go to the information today. The vibration today is whole. The statement today is, I am a channel between masters and apprentices. The code today is the lymphatic system. It works like an extension of the circulatory system, but its main mission is to distribute the fat content of the digestive system to the blood. Also, collects the excess of liquid accumulated in the cells, cleaning the system in general, disintegrating the harmful fat, what gives it another fundamental function, that is an immunological one. This means it recognizes the unknown or dangerous elements of the circulatory system and accumulates it in the lymph to cleanse them. Okay. Sit comfortable, close your eyes, and concentrate on your breathing. I take a deep breath and become aware of the body that I inhabit. I use my imagination to observe and recognize each part of my body, from the feet to the head. I perceive the feet, legs, hip, waist, chest and back, hands and arms, shoulders, neck, face, and hair, going through every organ, and I take deep breaths. I take a deep breath and softly, slowly, I start to go through every one of the bones of my body, from the head till the feet. I pay attention and become aware of the skull, the tiny little hammer inside of the ears, and the jaw with the teeth. And softly I start to move the jaw, becoming aware of the joints, becoming aware of the movement of the hammer in every sound that I hear. I start to become aware of every one of the vertebrae along the spine, from the atlas holding the skull to the coccyx at the end in the bottom, close to the anus. I become aware of the 33 vertebrae that shape the spine, and I start to move them slowly and softly, bending and moving it like if I am a snake, moving it like the waves of water, like the flames of fire. And softly I take a deep breath and I stare still with the spine straight, pointing up, finding the axis. Holding myself. And as I take a deep breath, I start to feel the bones on my back, the shoulders, holding the sternum on the chest, and the ribs from the back to the front, covering the lungs and heart. And with every deep breath, I can feel them. Inhale, hold as much as you can, and breathe out softly, paying attention to the bones of your chest. So I start to feel the bones in my arms, moving them in circles. First the shoulders, then the elbows, the wrist, and the fingers. Slowly, smooth. I move all of them. And I do exactly the same with the hip, moving from one side to the other, move the legs, bending the knees, your ankles in circles, and the toes. I take a deep breath and recognize every cell of my blood coming out from these bones, and I resound. I am channel between masters and apprentice. I am channel between masters and apprentices. I am a channel between masters and apprentices. I have structure in me. I have flexibility in me. I have. I take a deep breath and start to stretch the body, to yawn, to massage the body, and each one at its own time. Come back here and now. And for those who are following the task of this month, you take this energy, put it into the water, and pour it in the seeds, on the seeds and plants that we have sowed. Thank you everybody for being here and of the day. And see you tomorrow, as always, at the same time, to close the month of Taurus. Gracias. Bye.